This is the theme of setback and misery. You need some help? Select frames. So Buster and his wife, Virginia, are driving the same road that Paul Sheldon was on, because we're going to see that sign. And she touches his knee. She says to him, she would rather, he says to her, when you are my, when we are in this car, you are my deputy. And so she shouldn't, touch his knee. And then she basically says that, well, this deputy would like to be at home in the covers, under the covers with you. So they have a very interesting kind of relationship. They have a very engaging, casual, sometimes sarcastic type relationship, but it seems to be of mutual respect. And so here's where he's looking at her after she puts her hand on his knee. And this is where he's basically saying that she needs to essentially be more professional, right? And, he does make a good point, right? Because she's operating outside of her mastery orientation, too, at the same time. She's his deputy. She's not his lover in that car, even though they are married. And when they go home with each other, they're going to be and do married things. But he's challenging her argument to be frisky and fresh while they are on a call or while they are doing their jobs as sheriff and deputy, right? And so she's operating outside of her master orientation. If she doesn't want to be a deputy, then she should not be a deputy, because touching him in the car takes away the focus that is needed. He needs to find someone who is missing in his town. It's not time for him to engage his wife in a loving way, right? Not while they are on the job. So that look that he gives her is an appropriate look. It's not necessarily him being mean about it or anything like that. It is appropriate. And so then he takes her hand and puts her hand back on the steering wheel, and that while you are in this car, you are my deputy and you will act like my deputy. And so he ends up having her to stop, and they stop near this tree that's kind of broken or bend, and he wonders about the tree, and he wonders if it is broken as a result of a crash or something like that. And Virginia says, well, it could be the weight of the snow. And so he takes a little bit of time to search the area, because no one knows the crash site, because no one knows that Paul Sheldon has crashed other than Annie. And she hasn't told anybody. So everyone is basically going at this kind of blind. It's funny that Annie has all the knowledge about Paul Sheldon and his and the fact that he's alive, but she's hoarding knowledge. She's hoarding the idea that he is alive and that he can still be of use. And the only one that he can be of use to for Annie is Annie. But she's holding him back. She's her antics, her responses, her desire to keep him where she is a setback for him. Because at least if she would tell somebody that he is alive, she could still keep him at the house, because then she could use her knowledge about being a nurse and saying it's not a good idea to move him until his legs get stronger to keep him at the house. But she won't even do that. And so there's a lot that is going on with this tree being bent as a result of a crash, that Buster looks at this, knows there's something about it, but he doesn't have the knowledge enough to say, okay, it's connected to something. But he knows it's connected to something. But Annie could solve all of that confusion with the revelation that Paul Sheldon is at her house. So he walks down to see if there's anything there, right? And so every step that he takes is a step of just pure trust and hope and faith. And so then he ends up falling down, right? Um, Stumbling into the snow, and somehow he just cannot get to the part where the car actually is trapped in the snow. And so this is where he gets stuck in the snow. And what I think about Buster, he's so eager to resolve the problem, and that he doesn't see the car trapped because he's too far from the problem, but he's so eager to resolve the problem. And you have some sympathy for Buster because you want to solve the problem, even though you know what the problem is. You want to solve it along with him. If he could just get the strength to keep walking, he'll find the car, right? But you still have to challenge his eagerness. Why try to do this on your own? When he finds out, or he is suspicious of Paul Sheldon being at Annie's house, he goes there alone. When he's searching out for Paul Sheldon in the helicopter, he's with the helicopter pilot. And of course, it may be because he doesn't know how to fly a helicopter, but he's with somebody. When you see him going here, he's at least with his wife, and he didn't really expect to get out of the car and see a bended tree. But I challenge his eagerness in the sense that, and I feel like it's a setback for him, I challenge his eagerness because you don't want to go at resolving the task alone. You don't, it's still snow out there. It's still kind of dangerous out there. The roads have cleared, but you want to bring somebody along with you. There has to be another person that he could bring along with you. You could have had your wife hold a rope, and you hold a rope as you're going down into the snow to continue going down more areas, right, to see if a car is there or if something has crashed or something like that. But when you go at something by yourself, you don't get the kind of distance you need in trying to resolve that problem. And so here's where she's asking, need some help? And that just confirms my challenge of his eagerness right there, because I forgot that she had that asked that question, need some help? And he says, no, I'm enjoying myself, as to be sarcastic. But that he should have taken that as a sign that, oh, I need some help. If someone from a distance is seeing that you can't accomplish the task by yourself without help, then that should be enough. That should be something in you that says, okay, I need some help. I'm not going to be able to accomplish this task. Just because you are the sheriff doesn't necessarily mean you don't have people that can help you. Your wife may not be able to help you other than to hold a rope while you hold on to the rope to walk down into the snow. But you had the general store owner, you had the lodge worker, manager. You have more than you have, people who own houses around there, right? That can help you, who can help you. And so when she asks, need some help, and he says, no, I'm enjoying myself, he kind of sealed his own fate. So that when Annie shoots him, and it's kind of like a punishment it's kind of like the film is punishing him for going somewhere without receiving help, because asking that question, needs some help, is a warning. It works like a warning. That's your missed opportunity that I need to get some help before something happens to me. he shouldn't have gone to a house, especially when he was suspicious that she might be holding him hostage by himself. And so that was a warning. And here's where he said, no, I'm enjoying myself. So, they have a mutual respect for each other. They are sarcastic with each other all the time. But sometimes you can stay in a state of sarcasm and not realize the severity of the situation, that you respond in habit and in pattern, as almost like a standard for your relationship, when in reality you're sitting up here trapped in the snow. This is really not the time to be sarcastic. And while you are being sarcastic, you are missing the importance and significance of the situation, that this is a deadly thing that you are doing that could cause your own death. And again, this was a warning for him. What if he had gotten trapped in the snow and she had to go find somebody, and then the lower portion of his body kind of froze on him and it affected him in another type of way? And so sometimes that engaging in sarcastic banter can be such a tradition for you and your spouse or whoever you are doing it with, that you miss the obvious. The obvious is this is a very severe, significant, important issue that we need to take actually seriously. And so that's that extended having that conversation with her. And then he finally gets out of the snow, manages to get out. And I always like to focus on the fact that you are on your knees trying to get up. So anytime I do a film analysis, I like that frame where the character is on their knees trying to get up. And with Buster, is so much going on with him. I wonder what is driving him to go at this alone. It could be embarrassing for him to have someone of Paul Sheldon's stature be lost, not found, crash in his in his town, and that make news, and then that bothers him because he couldn't protect the citizens of his town. That could be an issue. That's always an issue if you are the sheriff, right? But I think there's some other kind of motivation for him. In addition to that, I think there's some kind of other motivation for him that is keeping him from seeking help, concerning the situation. And so trying to get up is always symbolic of trying to pull yourself up, assessing where you are weak, and then standing up on your own 2 feet. And he is weak in this area of receiving help. I really do feel like that he's weak in this area. The thing about a setback, the purpose of a setback, and I learned this from a message preached by Bishop T.D. Jakes, and the message series was Step It Up. And no, it was Life's Little Setbacks. He says the purpose of a setback is not for you to fall out on the floor and cry and whine and pout. The purpose of a setback is to assess those areas of weakness, reflect on those areas of weakness, and before you go on to greater battles. So let me say it again. Reflect on those areas of weakness before you go on to greater battles, meaning that there are greater battles ahead. When he's trying to get up out of the snow, the battle of having to walk up the hill is already implicit in this. Not only just walking down, not knowing really where you're going, it's much easier to walk down than to walk back up. And so when we are in setback, the time is not for us to cry and whine, or in his case, be sarcastic. The time for us is to really reflect on our areas of weakness before we go on to greater battles, because eventually he is going to find out that Paul Sheldon is there. But there was a good span of time where he could have reflect on his weaknesses before he went on to greater battles. One area of weakness was lack of knowledge, and he does resolve that weakness by purchasing all of Paul Sheldon's books to learn about Paul Sheldon, or how he wrote, or what he wrote. So that was a very good response to a lack of weakness. But when it comes to law enforcement, he doesn't seem like he feels like he needs help. And so that's an area of weakness, I feel, that got him killed. So he walks back up and we get an image of the car. So he was just a few steps away from the car. And like I said, if he had help, he could have had young men go down there. And it shouldn't always be about age, because you can have a person who's young still without the wisdom, right, to receive help. But it would have helped had he had another man with him, or if he had his wife hold a rope for him while he tried to find if there was a car crash. And so she asks him, now it's interesting how when he gets to the part where he's almost at the top of that sort of hill, she grabs him, right, or helps him up, and that's the help that he needs, or is symbolic of the help that he needs. And she asks, do you think he's out there? And he said, well, I don't know, but if he is, he's probably dead. But this engaging here is very significant, because this will be a true help. Paul asking Annie to help him about that untitled book, whether it is whether she can propose a title or tell him what the book is about, is not true help. This is true help. Right when he gets to the top and she grabs him so he doesn't stumble back, that's actually true help. She's within her mastery orientation here. Not necessarily in the truck when they were driving up to this area, but here is where, because she is the deputy and she's in her mastery orientation here. All right, like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more discussions. You can visit my YouTube channel for further film analysis. It's Favorites Film Analysis as the title of the channel. You can always send me an email and ask me a question, reginayfavorites@yahoo.com. My Overcoming Setback 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction book will become available around October 2021. I'm still doing some editing. The book does not focus on film analyses, but I use the content that I created for the book to support my my perceptions of setback used as a theme in select films. So when the book becomes available, I will send out a notification, video, audio. Thank you very much for visiting the channel.